So I've been thinking, whoa, I've been trying to figure out like, what it is that I'm trying to make with these videos, like what the idea is. And I think if I were to summarize, so basically, I make these videos, I'm doing all of this because this is like what I'm interested in, and this is what I wanted to find and see when I was like really struggling and just was kind of pretty lost without a clue. Go this way. And that was like a handful of years back now, and I'm not sure what you'd call it, but I guess what I was after, and I found a few people who are doing this, and that was kind of the phase I was in myself. But it's what I'm interested in is seeing that part of people's journey, if you will. It's like the hero's journey or whatever, the part of the journey where they're in like they're facing all of the trials and the challenges, and you know, their own personal weaknesses and flaws, and growing past that, and what they do and how long it takes, and basically just what works for different people. I just wanted to see that part of the journey. Now obviously there's a lot of people out there who've accomplished great things, and they've got books and they've got courses and all sorts of stuff, and like I'm not saying that none of that's like not real or stuff like that. It's just, it's nice hearing it from people who have already crossed the finish line, so to speak. But I kind of would prefer, and what I really crave for is to see someone who's in the midst of it, like, or to witness the actual process and not just like a summarized version of it when it's all said and done. So that's what this is. It's, I guess it's the part of the hero's journey where, oh no, I can't swear, where stuff gets real, if you will, like the bit that's hard, the difficult part. That's the bit that just had me absolutely stumped. I just couldn't, like, I was having trouble wrapping my mind around, like, well, one, if it was even possible to go from where I was at, which is just like struggling with just everyday stuff like depression, anxiety. So I'm a little bit lost in here. Like depression and anxiety and all sorts of just personal flaws and shortcomings. Like struggling with that day to day, and that was a bit of a struggle, like a serious struggle. Struggling with that and just like working out how the hell you get past all of that to, you know, to grow and accomplish and grow beyond your limits, and how long that even takes. Because like if it's going to take 20 years or something like that, part of me thought, you know, if it's going to take that long, then maybe I'll just do something else. Maybe I'll just stay within my limits, or maybe I should just give up because 20 years is just too long. Or better yet, you know, if it was like bloody, if I could pull it off in 6 months, if I could just push myself in the right ways and put myself in the right situation, if in 6 months I could turn my life around, and I could, and like people would say that, obviously there's people who say, oh, you know, do this 30-day challenge or do blah, blah, blah. And they maybe they put a day on it, an amount of time, or maybe they don't, but yeah, often they'll say it's some short amount of time and it's some simple rule or lesson or whatever. And that's nice and all that. And maybe it was because I just spent too much time looking for things like that and not enough time just sticking to one thing or something like that. Maybe that's why I didn't get the results. But yeah, maybe I just was a bit skeptical, I guess. But I was always interested in just seeing it happen. I wanted, you get all these, and they even have like testimonials and stuff like that. And I was more interested in the testimonials than the actual like lesson or the course itself. I wanted to see how that person achieved what they say they achieved. I wanted to see what it was like for them. I wanted to see, you know, I want to see the difference, the comparative difference. And I don't know, I just couldn't find many people who were really documenting that so much, or without, like, not many people who are focusing on that part, like the evolution, you know. And I really like stories that are about people evolving or things evolving and growing and morphing, and I really like that process. And I think humans are amazing in that sense, and we've like evolved like so far beyond what we were like thousands of years ago, or even hundreds of years ago. We've changed so much. Like we are just like shaping the face of the planet at like the speed of light. It's like been like the blink of an eye comparatively. Like we haven't been around for very long. We've done so much. And I think that's incredible. I think we all have that potential within us as a whole species and as individuals. But I'm just always kind of curious about like really what that looks like on an individual level. And I want to see it. So where I'm at now is like, I think I'm finally starting to gain some traction. It's because I guess I studied a lot of things, and I've tried a lot of things, and I've stuck to some things, and I haven't stuck to other things. And I've got mixed results. And I think most of it's just been persistence that's really got me to where I am now. But I'm finally at a time where things are changing. Things are starting to stick. And I feel like I'm growing. And I can look back now and I can see certain areas where I have grown. Not a huge amount, but I have grown some. Like, for example, like now I'm still like, I'm taking forever to deal with, like, just to move on with my life after having a little breakup. And that's like, it's killing me. I'm like, wow, what's wrong with me? I'm so weak and pathetic. But if I look back, like, I have actually grown a fair bit. And to some extent, I'm a much better, stronger person than I ever was before in similar situations. But I'm looking at things like, so I want to, like, start dating and stuff like that again. And that's like a pretty daunting thing. And I thought, oh man, like, I'm still the same socially awkward, you know, like, doubtful guy that I was when I was, you know, like 13 or something like that. But what dawned on me just like 2 days ago is that I can walk up to almost any girl that I like, that I'm like, wow, she's gorgeous, or wow, she seems so cool, like, I want to chat to her. And I can, within maybe 20 or 30 seconds, figure out, this is all right. I'll walk up to her and I'll be like, hey, I love your shoes. And like, that doesn't freak me out. That's the easy bit. And that was always a hard thing for me. Like, I just would be so scared that I just wouldn't act. I wouldn't say anything. And so I can see now that I have grown and I have changed. And whilst it's just small differences like that, like, so once I get past that bit, if I want to hang out with her, if I'm really interested in her, then at some point I'll start to choke up and I'll get all weird and it'll get awkward, and then she'll be like, okay. So, you know, I haven't grown out of it, but I have grown. And yeah, so I feel like I am growing now, and that's why I'm making these videos now. And the fact that I can even make these videos shows growth, because in the past I couldn't even publish anything. I just could not even bring myself to make something so simple like this and then publish it. It's just, yeah, so that's what this whole series is about. This is all about just personal growth. It's my journey and all of my struggles and stuff like that. So I have so many long lists of all the things I have trouble with, and so many things that I wish were different about me, and it just gets extensive, like really extensive, because I've spent probably too much time thinking about it. And then there's all these things I want to do. So, you know, I want to go traveling. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I've got I've probably got maybe 100 more things written down on like so many different to-do lists. And I'm personally very attached to a lot of these things. So it's like, I guess that's why I'm always feeling kind of a bit doubtful about this, is because I've kind of overloaded my plate. I've given myself too much to do, and you know, and I'm too aware of myself maybe. So there's too many problems to fix, and maybe I'm a bit of a perfectionist as well. So it's a bit of a weird situation I find myself in. Yeah, and I really I hope that these sort of things, these videos, find like the younger me out there. And I'm gonna stop talking just about myself like this. I know it's not very motivational if someone's like I, but I don't know. I guess this is my little story, so it's relevant in that sense. But yeah, I think and this was something I just learned about before. They call that framing. So framing it in the I, and that's actually something I learned from when I went to rehab. They tell you to frame things in the I because it's you taking responsibility, and you're not talking about others. You're not telling others the state of things and factual stuff. You're just talking from I, and that's like a more indisputable thing, and it's taking responsibility for, you know, your actions and your feeling and your place and all of that. And it's also not really dictating reality for other people. But like I said, it's not very like impactful or motivational. So maybe I'll say more I'll talk about the more objective observations I'm making, even though they could be completely wrong. I'm probably so off the mark, still learning all this stuff, but I'll be a little more objective and a little less about me, because that's, like I said, it just gets boring. No one really wants to hear about someone else for that long. Even if I was like watching these videos myself, I'd be like, this guy just loves himself. Or he's just like obsessed with himself, which shows insecurity. If you can't like talk about anything or anyone else but yourself, then I think that typically it's because you're insecure, or like you're an egotist, which is an insecurity thing and all sorts anyway, but it spells trouble. So anyway, that's roughly what to expect from these kinds of videos. And this is kind of going to be the bulk of content, even if it's not directly talking about things that I'm learning and things that are changing and stuff like that. That's the general flavor of the whole channel, I guess, is just like, you know, growing, changing, accomplishing stuff and bold feats and going out on a limb and leaps of faith. That's what I'm interested in. That's what I love. And yeah, and perhaps there'll be other people on board later, and that's the sort of thing that I'm looking like to support and to give a little bit of a platform to. Stuff like that. That's what I love.